Hey everybody, welcome to the show Unfinished Adventures, the only show that is literally not planned every time. As always, I'm your host, Trev Says Hi.
Oh, I am Jeff Rooney.
I'm D-Town.
Skylar, cut me off.
And I'm Scoop.
Ladies first.
There we all are, and today we are discussing a hidden gem, as I would call it, not as everyone else would call it, a game called Deadly Premonition. So Deadly Premonition Origins is a... Oh, thanks for doing that, Jeff. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was just like listening. I was listening to you talk, and I was like, yeah, it sounds pretty good. I'm just going to wait for somebody else to talk, and it's my turn to talk, so that's my bad.
Makes sense. So Deadly Premonition Origins. So Deadly Premonition was a game that originally came out on the Xbox. Was pretty broken, but some people found it pretty endearing. It came out then on the PS3, and then had I think the PS3 was like a definitive edition or something, sort of remaster version or whatever. And then basically no one really thought about the game for forever until one day during a Nintendo Switch Direct, they were like, and by the way, Deadly Premonitions is available later today as Deadly Premonition Origins. And I went, interesting, and played the game.
Had you heard of the game before, like whenever it was on this, like before they did this Nintendo Direct thing?
I had, actually. So I knew about this game when it first came out, because one of the gaming websites I go to, Destructoid, there was a review of it where the reviewer gave it a 10 out of 10. And I knew the rest of the reviews. Like, I knew the game was pretty broken. I knew, kind of all of the stuff about the game, but he gave it a 10 out of 10 because he just thoroughly enjoyed it. But I didn't really think much about it at that time because I did not have disposable income. So I wasn't going to, buy a game that for the most part reviews pretty poorly. So yes, I did know about the game, but not much. But yeah, and so then I decided to pick it up on the Nintendo Switch, and basically kind of fell in love with it. It's not great, but I had a good time. So real quick, I'll kind of give us the story setup, and then we can kind of discuss our initial thoughts. So it's funny when you don't have a screenshot of even like the main character, and you're like, no, I'm good, I'm prepared, and then you're like, wait,
He's
No,
right
not.
behind Jeff.
I'll just
Yeah,
me and Jeff can
There
get out
he
of the way
is.
here.
Yeah,
There he is.
there he is. So
Yeah, he's
uh,
driving and pilling.
yeah. So the game starts with the premise of a murder in a pretty small backwoods town. And in that murder, Francis York Morgan, our FBI agent, is sent there to just check it out. He's not really on the case. He's just there to just check it out because he thinks there may be a connection to something else. And so that's pretty much it. I think one of the very first things that sets the tone of this game is you're driving in the car and it's really rainy, and a character appears in the middle of the screen, and then York crashes the car, runs through a bunch of stuff, and then there shows a screen of like some squirrels, and they sound like chimpanzees or they sound like monkeys, and they flee off.
They definitely sound like apes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that lets you know what you're about to get into. But then we sort of get into like the actual like gameplay portion. And because you crash and you get out, and then shit starts to hit the fan. So let's see. Scott, you want to walk us through kind of what the gameplay is like?
So going into it, it's kind of like Resident Evil 4, I would say the controls are like. They're not really tank controls, but you go into this little animation. I think, do you start out with the pistol? I think.
You do.
Once you get into the combat.
Yeah, so you have a pistol that has unlimited ammo, which, thank God.
Yeah.
I do like that.
What makes this game different is there's a food meter and a sleep meter that you gotta pay attention to. So if you go to sleep, like your food will go down.
Mm-hmm.
You stay awake, your sleep will go down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I didn't realize until like midway through the game that if you don't eat, like it actually kills you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it hurts you. I mean,
Your health.
no,
is
I didn't
starting to
die,
go down.
but I was getting so frustrated with the game that I was like, I'm just gonna starve him, and hopefully he just like kind of goes delirious, and then it started killing me. I was like, oh, okay, you know.
Oh.
It was great because that happened like seconds after you said that.
Yeah. It said that he was hungry, and I was like, I'm just gonna let him be hungry for a while. And then like as I was, I think driving my car, my health just started going boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, like all the way down.
I have this thing. So for those who are just tuning in, Jeff also streams the game as I've been streaming the game. Dallas and Skylar and Scoo, they've been playing it offline, and I'll tune in to watch Jeff play because I've already played the game, so there's no spoilers for me. As I'm watching Jeff play, it's really a battle to like. I wouldn't say to tell him what to do, but to tell him how to play the game right. And like,
I'm just playing it. I'm just playing it live,
and
pal.
he is, and that's and I think a lot of that kind of comes from like with the combat. Like I know, Jeff, you have some of your complaints with the combat, which is justified, to be fair. So I kind of want to come back to that, but through that initial experience of kind of like going through this just kind of like foresty area before you even get to Greenvale, which is the name of the town you're going to. What, Dallas, Skylar, what's your initial impressions of the gameplay?
So yeah, I think when I like the to start off, like the introductory of it and you being in this like dream world and stuff like that, I was like, man, this is the most Japanese thing I've ever experienced. Like everything is just so wacky. The music's like really funky and like sometimes mismatching what I feel like is the emotion that needs to be portrayed during a scene. And so it's already setting me up for like just a quirky like horror like trope, I guess. And then the actual gameplay itself, yeah, I agree with Scoo. It's like kind of Resident Evil-y, but it feels a little bit more choppy. So it's and it's weird, man, because like sometimes I'll get like what feels like, you know, like 60 frames a second, and then sometimes it just goes down to like 17 frames a second, and I'm like, what is happening? Like I'm not even online. Like what is this?
Yeah. I noticed that a little bit, like and I know I mentioned it while I was playing at some point. Like I was driving and I pulled up the map, and all of a sudden, like the game just started stuttering as I was, trying to look at the map and drive at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I guess I better put this away. And this was before the game had even crashed for me or anything like that.
Yeah, it definitely chugs a bit. So I am glad that y'all brought up the Resident Evil 4 comparison, because I know that they remade Resident Evil 4, in which I'm sure they probably changed the controls quite a bit. But I do remember kind of what I was coming back to is watching Jeff play, and Jeff playing like, why can't I move, and what, like, this is awful. And I'm like, I don't think you're wrong, but I also think it's a product of its time. Like, a much better game did this, and it kind of plays the same. It's not nearly as smooth, it's not nearly as fluid, but like if you can do Resident Evil 4, you can do Deadly Premonition, and it's similar-ish.
Yeah. And that might be my problem. I've never played, the only Resident Evil game I've played is Village. And a little bit of like 5 or 6 or something like that. The one where they're in Africa. I played a little bit of that
5.
one. So I mean, I've never played a tanky game like this before. I've never played a game where I can't shoot from the hip. I feel like I've never had one where I had to pull out the weapon, aim it down the sight, and then use it. Like same even with the crowbar. Like you got to pull out the crowbar and then use it. So it was just like I was like it's like this
It's like an extra step to it.
Yeah, well, it's like you got to do it in order. You got to look at your inventory. You got to pull your weapon out. Then you got to actually use the weapon. And it's like you can't just use the weapon. You can't just use what's equipped.
I guess another close comparison for the aiming controls would be Dead Rising. They were pretty terrible in that game too.
Oh man, I love Dead Rising. What a good game.
See, that's another one I haven't played. So
Yeah, I haven't played that
it's
one
kind of
either.
out of my league.
That's
another
game.
Capcom game, so it kind of makes sense with Resident Evil at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you know, I mean I don't know everyone's full opinions on the game yet, but I do think oh my gosh, just Dead Rising would be a much more easier to play game either way. So as you make your way through like this really kind of dark, spooky forest, you end up coming across this neat little guy. The main baddie, the Raincoat Killer. The worst thing about him is he is just his signature move of
the wagging no.
He is the harbinger of QuickTime events for this game, which are definitely not my favorite. And I did forget exactly how much was in there, but they also aren't as bad as I remember them being for me personally. So that's kind of good. So let's just have a quick discussion on QuickTime events. Yay or nay? Like,
They
what are we
suck
thinking?
at
I
balls.
like them.
Well,
I hate 'em.
how many did you do?
I like watching them because I
I think I like the idea. I like the idea of
Yeah.
a QuickTime event. I don't like experiencing a QuickTime event.
I guess it was fun to watch because I feel like it gives you more of that like heart racing, gut wrenching feeling like you would be in that extreme situation. I
Yeah.
think it's cool.
I-
You have to think on your feet.
So I think that's very true, and I do like them in Resident Evil because I think they give you like at least an extra 2 seconds. But in this game,
Those are quick.
man,
Man,
there are
they're
some
fast.
things where it
They're
is like
fast.
1 second and you're dead. Like
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
Well, and I even noticed while I was playing it, it was like I'm not. I play Nintendo a little bit, but like I play with an Xbox controller probably 90% of the time, and so the buttons are flipped on the Xbox versus the Nintendo consoles. Which I mean, Nintendo was first. Nintendo had the Super Nintendo. That's so maybe they're the original, whatever. But that doesn't mean that's what I'm used to. So I noticed on all the QuickTime events, it would it'd say to press X, and I would end up pressing Y, or it'd say to press B, and I would press A. And so I was just getting like, or the right trigger and the right
ZR.
bumper. Like you could ask me right now, like, hey, what's ZR? And I'm like, I know it's one of the buttons, but I don't know which one it is, and it's not the one in my head that makes the most sense.
Just pick
like
say ZT. Don't say ZR.
yeah, ZT.
Whatever it is.
Yeah,
I still don't even know which one is which,
Right.
but I'm imagining that's the trigger.
it's like
So bright.
ZR is like the right trigger,
yeah.
and I'm
just
like,
E.
why?
I had to get used to that too.
Yeah. because that happened a couple times. It was like press the right bumper, and I was like, okay, and then I pushed I think it said press R, and I was like, all right, so I pushed the right trigger, and I was like, nope, got killed.
Yeah.
So
I think that's an
that's
interesting
my
point.
issue with the QuickTime events. Like, and then QuickTime events will normally give you kind of a more cinematic experience with the game. So they do stuff that you can't do in the game. So like if you're playing like a God of War, the QuickTime event is probably going to be you fighting somebody, like fighting a big dragons or something, and like you're going to be climbing up the body of the dragon using your axe and like climbing up. It's going to be trying to smash you, and you're pressing buttons to move around it, and that's kind of how this is too. It's like the was this the graveyard killer, trenchcoat man,
Raincoat killer.
Red coat killer.
Raincoat killer.
the raincoat.
Killer. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so the raincoat kill, same thing. Like, I mean, you're pushing the buttons and he's like swinging at you and you're dodging. But
Yeah.
so I mean, it makes sense. Like this game has this game can't pull off that sort of technicality. It's got to do it in a QuickTime event.
2 points. One of the things I think is super interesting about the different controller layouts, I definitely understand that because like all I did was play video games growing up. So I at some point I had all the major consoles. So I was pretty used to switching between buttons. And like even now, if I'm playing a game and you ask me what a button is, like what's run in Mario, which is actually Y? Yes, Y. But
Yeah,
like
it's Y,
whenever I'm doing it, like I don't know what to tell you because I don't see the buttons as
it's the one on the far left on the cross.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
But another point I wanted to bring up, and I think Jeff, you kind of segued us into this. So, what games with QuickTime events do you actually like? And I think you sort of mentioned maybe like God of War is not a game of the original ones I would have ever played because I didn't like QuickTime events, but they're not all bad.
And I didn't ever play the original God of Wars. But like one game that I liked that had a pretty good QuickTime event was the new Tomb Raider. Like those, like the 26, I think it's 2016 or it's 2012.
I think it's
the first two, like no, I think that's the movie. I think the game actually came out in 2012 or something like that. The new like rehash of these Tomb Raider games, and those had QuickTime events, and those were pretty fine.
Yeah. Scott, do you have a game that you're like, okay, these QuickTime events are all right?
I'm trying to think. I don't remember actually any game that I liked QuickTime events.
I've been playing Final Fantasy 16, and it has QuickTime events, and they give you so much time that I don't mind them. Like, they show up, and I'm like, oh, R2.
Yeah.
Hey, read the labels on my. Let me get my my controller manual out so I can find what that is.
So that one hasn't been bad, and they are pretty cinematic, and they are pretty epic. Like they're like literal like giants fighting each other. So it's like I'm fine with it.
Did Village have QuickTime events? I feel like it. No. Okay. I kind of thought there was a Resident Evil game that had them. Like,
or definitely had them. I mean, like,
I didn't play 4. Yeah, I think Tomb Raider was the only one. And the cool thing about and one of the reasons why I like the QuickTime events in Tomb Raider was because if you messed up the QuickTime event, you got a really cool death scene. So for instance, if you were going down the river and you're washing down, there's like logs everywhere, and one of the QuickTime events is to swim away from the log or roll out of the way. If you miss it, you get like impaled or something like that. It's just like this brutal death scene, like almost like Mortal Kombat-esque. Like, it's just like she gets like smashed against a rock or something. Like she just smashes into a rock. Like that's cool. Oh, Last of Us had QuickTime events, right? Like with the clickers or something, didn't it?
I think it would have maybe like one per event, but they weren't like cinematic cutscenes.
They weren't. Yeah. Okay. So it's just like maybe just push the button or something, like just a single time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and I could be totally mistaken on that. I just kind of think that Last of Us might have had some.
I don't remember. If they did have them, they were unmemorable, which isn't bad. Sky, D-Town, what about y'all? Any QuickTime event games that you're like?
I don't think I've ever played a game with a QuickTime event, so
Really?
Dallas probably has.
Yeah, no, I agree with everyone's comments. Like they definitely add some pizzazz to the cutscenes. It makes you actually pay attention. Whereas some of it, you might be like, oh, I might look at my phone and just listen to this, like I'm watching anime or something. And then next thing you know, you look up and your guy's getting chopped in the neck, and you're like,
Chopped
well,
through.
I guess I'll just watch this whole thing all over again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, my only complaint really was the timing of some of it, because I mean, what do you have? Maybe 8 buttons and then 10 with the toggles if you have to press those in. So, to be able to see that and then process where it is, because I have the same mentality as Jeff, and then do all that in like 1.5 seconds, I feel like sometimes it's a little cruel. So if they could just give us an extra second or two, that'd be much appreciated. Thanks, Deadly Premonition.
Yeah, please.
I know
please,
this is
please,
kind of
Pat.
later. This kind of later too, but even when you got it, it felt like you didn't. Like when he was hiding and you got it, he would go, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna hear him, And so I'm like, we failed, but we didn't fail.
Yeah, you
So
never
I'd get
really
really
knew if you did it
confused.
right or
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, the I would say the saving grace of this is that they don't change, which
Yeah.
is nice. So
I think
least
the
you
only
can-
time they I thought they changed at least once. Like on the one where he's throwing the axes at you, which I mean we skipped way ahead, but
Yeah.
I think there's a spot where he's throwing the axes at you, and those buttons do change. Oh, it's whenever you're running and there's steam coming out, like the steam pipes.
Oh god,
I think those are
yeah.
different.
I think it was actually A every time. Just the thing is, they were so fast, and
Oh, was it? Okay.
yeah, and
It's just easy to miss.
they sucked. They were really hard to do. To be fair, I did the exact same thing. I ate every one of those. So let's carry on with getting through the plot. So basically, you have your first run in with the Raincoat Killer, quick time events. He's just this guy who's just kind of murdering you, and all throughout this time, York is very unfazed, I would say, by this. He's just
Really?
kind of like, wow, this is a thing. Which is super
Well,
interesting.
he's always talking to Zach, right? He's always telling Zach, like, Zach, that was crazy.
He is always talking to Zach, but he's not really acting on it. He's not really acting on his craziness.
And
He's
Zach's
just like,
not
wow.
usually replying either.
Yeah.
At least as far as we know.
Zach is silent. So, does someone want to explain Zach real quick, like how York interacts with Zach?
As far as I can understand, Zach is either an imaginary friend or he has schizophrenia or something.
Right.
Because it's someone that we don't see a visual of. There's no real throwback to it until the end of what is it called? Series 2? No, Channel 2? Episode 2. Until the end of that, where you finally find out more about like that past. So it's someone that to me and Skylar, we were just like, who is that? Why does he keep saying this out loud? Like you could see him mouthing the words.
No, he goes like
Yeah.
this. Zach.
Yeah, and like he'll be
Yeah.
literally talking to somebody in front of him, and he's like, "Yeah, that's quite the murder scene we see there, isn't that right, Zach?" And then
Yeah.
everyone's just like staring at him, like, okay," and then they don't even bring it up. They're just like,
Well, to be fair,
this
he
guy's
does say, "Don't ask me about Zach. It's a private matter."
Yeah.
So he lets
Yeah,
him
yeah,
in
yeah,
on
but
that.
I feel like that came out like
Way later.
hours
Literally.
into the game.
Yeah,
Like they've already had multiple conversations, and then
Zach
finally he's like,
interactions.
"That's a private matter. Don't say that."
To be fair, he does mention it pretty much immediately whenever he, as we go through it, gets out of the forest and meets Emily and George Woodman. So he does say that pretty much like immediately.
Oh, okay. I must have missed it. Yeah, I guess we
Okay.
both missed it.
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't until later. I was like, "This is so weird."
And then, as I mentioned, I'm trying to pull a picture of Emily and George, which, as I mentioned, the show that has no plan every time. Over here, I got
Here's
you.
Emily.
I always go, I have all the photos I need, and then I want to talk about any
She's
character.
right here. Where's she at?
They're just not in order. They're not like sorted. Like, okay, this is gonna be in Seg 1.
So not planned. Okay. All right.
She's in the backseat of our minivan.
So Emily's basically the deputy of what's this place called? Greenvale?
Greenville.
Greenvale.
Greenvale.
And then George is the sheriff, right?
George is the sheriff. Yeah. So and definitely some immediate conflict between York and the sheriff.
And sheriff,
'cause-
yeah, they don't get along.
Yeah,
They don't trust each other.
Hot shot FBI agent coming in to stick his nose into little old Greenvale. So you definitely get some sort of tension from that.
They're like Greenvale that's there's nothing bad ever happens here.
Yep. Small town classic. Everything everything's great.
Does it remind you of Midland, Jeff? Greenville?
Greenvale? Yeah, dude.
It seemed to have way more trees and forestry than I think that Lynn probably.
Well,
did.
I think Midland actually has a few more trees than Greenvale does.
Oh,
If
okay.
I'm yeah, I mean, I was just there, so I
Cool.
know offhand.
Yeah. So York goes and he meets the local law enforcement. For the most part, isn't going super great, and then after that, immediately goes to the sheriff's department, which I will show super quickly because I'm super good at this, which is right here. What did I name this file? Oh, here we go. So we'll get a cutscene of the inside story of the sheriff's department with a little bit of my audio commentary.
That's one fine building for such a small town. The exterior woodwork is spectacular. Don't you agree, Zach?
Yeah. This audio mixed. And it's just like immediate, it's just like ow. Just like cut it off.
And there's one of York's famous ticks, just the tap on the chest. Oh my gosh.
So that introduces you to the sheriff's department, which real quick, there are a couple things I want to talk about. One of them being that is clearly an homage to Twin Peaks. This entire game is an homage to Twin Peaks, which definitely contributes to some of my love of this. Twin Peaks is sort of similar in Deadly Premonitions and its pacing of being very slow, being a little wacky. The difference is that Twin Peaks executes everything that it wants to do almost flawlessly, where Deadly Premonition does the opposite.
That's where Deadly Premonition just falls behind just a little bit.
It's a great restaurant too.
Oh, okay.
Is it? Is it?
He's talking about Greenville restaurant.
Yeah, Greenvale restaurant.
Yeah.
But that's kind of one of the things that as if you ever watch Twin Peaks, you'll see a lot of like parallels to it. Same thing as like the A&G diner. There's like a specific diner in Twin Peaks. There's lots of things kind of like taken from it. The character interactions are a little different, I would say, but overall, that's something that I really enjoy about it. But as Jeff mentioned, when it comes to the audio mixing, the audio being that way, as I'm sure anyone who's watching knows, considering how we're streaming on the Deadly Premonition subcategory, is just mixed awfully. Like the music is so loud, and the characters, they just kind of like talk like this out of a normal speaking voice.
It's not even that. Like I mentioned it a couple times. So I guess I've streamed this game live like 3 times or something like that. I think I've mentioned it every single time that I notice it. If we're talking, if we're talking at this volume, and then as the music comes on, the music will be a little bit louder, which, or it's like it's louder than the speaking voice. Mm-hmm. You can still hear what they're saying, but then it's like as they talk, the mix for the dialogue goes down.
Yeah.
So and I kind of thought like it was like a rib, like it was like a joke, that as he was talking to people, because he would do it every once in a while, like somebody would be talking to him and he would be kind of doing like this thing like this,
mm-hmm.
and then their voice would start like trailing off. I was like, oh, he's not listening. And I don't know if that's like I said, I mentioned it in my streams, and I don't know if you guys like also think this, but I'm like, I think he's legitimately like either not paying attention or just doesn't care. or he's just because he's like or zoning out or something like that. Because it happened almost every time that he would like tap his chest, their voices would kind of start like dropping down. But I also don't know if I give them enough credit
I was about to
to
say, you
have.
need to work for a PR agency or something.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I don't know if I give them enough credit to have been, actually that like thoughtful in the in the game development.
So one of the weird things I will say about this game is it is definitely thoughtful. It's just I think the execution of it is what lacks. For instance, you know how you have the peek ability? And I found this the other day just when I was like Googling stuff about the game. So there are certain windows that you can peek in, and York just kind of like goes and just like looks into stuff. If you actually go throughout the town, and I saw a Reddit post about this, where all of the different characters do weird shit and give stuff about their personal life if you go and peek on them. So honestly, I almost think that's going to be my new headcanon, that is actually York not paying attention. And so he's listening to them less. I'm not saying they do it, but this game does have a lot of intention. And let me phrase that. It is very thoughtful, but it is executed poorly. And also,
So I
that's
guess
kind of its charm.
I guess if it was that kind of mindset, I would imagine the voices to go lower instead of the music going higher. And if the music goes higher, I wonder if that means that the music is related to York in some kind of way.
Right.
Because if he's trying to drown it out, that means like he's taking in the music to become more prominent there. If we're trying to dig deep into this, so that
I
could be
think we might be giving it more effort.
Yeah, because there's like sometimes, like what I was mentioning in the beginning, I'm like the music sometimes doesn't match the emotion that I would feel, but maybe York is feeling some kind of way where he's like, well, this is like a murder scene, but it's just like playing a little like nice little acoustic riff, and it's like da 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 da, and it's like, oh
Well,
man, someone just died here.
I mean, if you're in a job like that, you become desensitized. So
Yeah.
I think there could be a line there, like a parallel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty
York's used
interesting.
to it. How many
Yeah.
bags of seeds did he pull out? Which we'll get to later. So at this point, York still is not in charge of the investigation or anything. He's just kind of like hanging out. He has an interest in it, and so he wants to review the file. And on the way to review the file, he has to get some keys. Basically, the key to like the main room was lost by Thomas, the gentleman who we just saw run up to York just a second ago.
Yeah.
How many tries did it take you to get the right key? And we'll just kind of run this through order.
Oh, I mean, I think like 3 or 4. Like,
Yours was 3.
3? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I mean, I know that I found like the first time I found a pair of squirrel keys, because that's what they are. They were a very specific pair of squirrel keys. I would take it to him, and he's like, oh yeah, the squirrel keys. And then he would like hold it up and look. He's like, oh, you dummy, this is the West, the West African flying squirrel from, that went extinct in 1855. I'm looking for the South African flying squirrel keys, and you can tell it's different because it has 3 spots on its back instead of 2, and you're like, oh my gosh.
So 1 pixel.
Yeah. I'm being a little dramatic, but he does like actually kind of berate you on like your squirrel knowledge.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, ours is probably 4 to 5.
Maybe even 5, honestly. It felt like it was the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I kept saying, she would like pick up one, and I'm like, that's not saying, whatever it was, like southern,
like
blah blah blah,
It's like
flying
it's
squirrel.
like the
And I was like,
western, the western horned squirrel or something like that.
she would keep picking up them, and it would be like, this is a Kentucky bull squirrel
Well,
or something. I'm like, that's not that one.
after
She's
the
like, well, let's just go give it to him. Maybe who
Well,
knows?
after the second one, I think I got 3 in a row, and then I went and took them all because I was going back and forth, and I was like, nope.
Yeah.
No.
No, it took. I think we probably picked up all of them. I don't know
Yeah.
why we didn't get an achievement or anything, but
Yeah.
Find all the squirrel keys.
yeah.
Scoo, what was your number?
4 or 5, like
4 or
Allison's
5.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
think I picked them all up as well.
the first time I played the game, I definitely picked all 5 up. And I am happy to say, whenever I played it a second time, I picked all 5 up again. So that was great. I really enjoyed that. And for that, I took a clip of all of the squirrel knowledge for us to watch.
Oh, here we go.
Get schooled.
Too. Oh love the way he holds it.
No. This is a sugar glider. Sorry, wrong key.
What am I looking
The sugar glider is a small
Idiot.
gliding possum. It has shorter hair and a longer, column-like tail. You can
Music
really
turns on
see
because
its
George's
muscle
not paying
definition in this image.
Yeah,
can't you?
see, he's not
Yeah.
listening.
But we're
that's
looking
why I
for a
picked up
southern
five, 'cause I
flying
wasn't paying
squirrel right now.
attention
Yeah.
Zach, can
I
you tell
am
these things apart?
York is Dallas.
This is the second one. I don't know what squirrel this is still. His face says it all.
No.
I love his little
This is a
like
gray
cocked head,
squirrel.
and he's just like,
Sorry,
Like
that's
disappointed
not
in
the
you.
key.
Yeah.
Nothing particularly special about the gray squirrel, I'm afraid. You can find them in the U.S., Canada, and in England too.
Excuse you. Gray squirrels are
A
so-
at
gray
least he's
squirrel.
very like respectful
What was I
of
thinking?
your ignorance.
But we're looking for a southern
Yeah,
flying
he's like, I'm
squirrel
gonna
right
I'm gonna
now.
educate you here.
If you
fancy.
find all 5, does he show you? Like, if you find all 5 at the same time and you give them to him, does he just automatically get the correct one
Oh,
first?
God.
Or
Yeah, show me the right
You have to
one.
trade them in
You
one at a
found a
time.
Siberian
You have
chipmunk
to
this
select the
time,
one you
have
give
you?
him.
Sorry,
Oh.
wrong key.
A Siberian chipmunk?
This species lives in northern Japan on the island of Hokkaido. They're actually quite a popular pet.
So it isn't even a
Yeah, I
squirrel.
think halfway through we
But
were
we're
like,
looking for
why
a
don't you
southern
just go
flying
get it?
squirrel right
Like
now.
you
Well,
obviously
he
know
lost
where
it, to be fair.
Yeah, he doesn't know where it's at. It's lost.
I guess he's gotta go through all these
Where is
encyclopedias.
his key? Why are we getting stuck on it?
you don't know-
Too.
You don't know your squirrels, do you?
You don't know a
I think I
squirrel
just
from a
accidentally
wombat.
restarted. I just restarted. Hang on. All right, we're back
Oh, did you restart them all?
on accident. This is the right one.
Oh my god, where is this key?
Yeah,
Ah,
we're getting
What if this
stuck
just
on-
became
don't
like
know
the
your
squirrel
squirrels, do you?
stream? We just like
This
watched
isn't
on
the right
loop
key
for like
holder.
2 hours.
This is a Siberian flying squirrel.
You don't have
It's
to
closer
insult
to a
me.
land-based squirrel. The Siberian flying squirrel is larger than the southern flying squirrel and has a standing tail while the southern has a hanging tail. But we're looking for a southern flying squirrel right now.
You sure do know a lot about squirrels.
And there it is. There's the golden boy. It
His
is the
face.
right one. I love the facial
Yes,
expressions.
a southern flying squirrel. Thank you so much.
I think even whenever I handed
bring
him that one, I
files
was like,
right
"Oh,
in,
this
so
isn't the right one." It's
please
like
go to the meeting
seven periods and an exclamation point.
But I don't know. Like that was, it's very early in the game. Once again, a lot of things set the tone for this game. In terms of
I'm
kind
waiting
of how
for the
you're
scares. That's
experiencing
what I thought we were playing a scary game, and I'm like finding squirrel keys.
it. I don't know about the fifth one. I was mad, and I think mad and fear are the same.
Madden, yeah, they're next door neighbors, but they aren't the same.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of like, I don't know, weird little charms to this thing. And in the sheriff's office, you can actually do your first side quest while you're in there. Did anybody complete the little side quest you can do while you're picking up keys?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
What
Can
was
you
it?
describe it? Yeah.
Yeah, so if you go into, I think it's like the kitchen, there is a dumbbell on the ground that is named Arnold.
Oh.
We did
No.
pick up a dumbbell.
I remember the dumbbell. I didn't know it was a.
Yeah.
quest.
So if you go and explore around the sheriff's office, you'll find George like doing squats or like I think he's doing one curl or something. And he said he's looking for Arnold, which he doesn't tell you what Arnold is, but whenever you pick up the dumbbell, it says Arnold is written on it. So you can give George the other dumbbell, and you complete a side quest, and so George can do all his workouts.
Wonder if that's like a hat tip to Arnold Schwarzenegger or something.
That's what I figured.
Probably, honestly.
Yeah, because
We did find the dumbbell, but we didn't
Yeah.
we didn't go look for George though.
Yeah.
I was just like, what the hell is this doing in the kitchen?
Yeah.
But it just leads more into the like Japanese art,
Absurdism,
and I'm
like,
like,
just,
yeah, you know what? Nothing's gonna surprise me.
You just accept it as
Arnold
normal.
Arnold has an exercise synonymous with the dumbbell, the Arnold press.
Mm.
Oh, that's true.
I'm gonna pretend like I knew that. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Scott, you
Everybody
knew
knows
that
about
too,
the
right?
Arnold press.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You did.
Scott,
You did
what's
10 of
the,
those on
what's-
camera before we started.
Yeah, Scott. What's the motion for an Arnold press?
Yes, Scott.
That's
Oh.
it.
Ah.
Right? That's totally it.
That's close.
Yeah, so there are side quests in this game. I don't know if y'all have done any others. I know for a fact Jeff has done 0. Because
I'm going on a speed run.
yeah.
Same.
That's what I keep saying.
Yeah.
Speed run, speed run.
So after this, you basically once you get the access to the key, they start to go over the details, and so you begin to find out that Anna, who is the murderee, I think is how you say that.
We actually use the word victim around these parts.
Victim. I guess that is the right word. That she has been murdered in a pretty. Oh, hang on. I think the squirrel video is playing on the background. Let me turn that off.
Oh no.
Okay.
Don't want that audio.
Yeah, she has been murdered pretty gruesomely, and that's kind of why York's here. After reviewing the case, I believe you go directly to the hospital, or I don't remember if you go to the hospital or if you go back to your hotel. I think you go to the hospital next before you go back to your hotel. Let's just say that's the order. Which is kind of like a little like neither like. The great thing about going to the hospital is it introduces you to driving in this game, which driving in this game is not great, I would say.
Epic.
And you do
Best
a
driving.
lot of driving in this game.
Top 10 driving of all time. Not even close.
Yeah,
It's top 10 and it's not number 2 through 10.
I have some clips of oh, sorry. Let me hide that. I have some clips of some driving skills here.
Some fancy driving.
Those are.
This one was in Dallas.
Yeah. I was not drinking,
Okay.
and it was not raining, so I don't know what the hell.
You got better over time, though. Every time I was trying to drive, he ended up taking the controls from me because it was so bad.
So it's like
It's
one of those
Oh.
things where like
Yeah.
I don't know if this is different on any other platform, but on the Switch, I feel like you have 3 levels of sensitivity. You're like in the
Yeah.
middle,
Mm-hmm.
you're tapping it with just a hair that is like almost not humanly possible, and then you're going to the right. And so I'm obviously like going to the right and then going to the left, and that's what creates this like
Man,
worm effect.
yeah, it's an overcorrection. I noticed that as well. It's brutal.
I'd like if anyone could speedrun this on the Switch driving, I would love to see that
Yeah.
because you have to have like the most steady thumb on the planet.
I think the current speedrun is 2.5 hours on the Switch.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it
Fast.
must be finding some kind of way to glitch over the
Yeah.
forest or something.
Yeah.
Like, there's
Yeah, I have one more clip to show us some fun driving.
break into
Oh,
this
it's locked.
jail real quick.
It's like a school or something.
Here we go.
Well, if I can't get in, I'll drive through it.
Let's get him.
Also, I recently found out on the Switch you can skip that small little scene of you crawling into the vehicle by pressing
You
the
can?
plus
No.
button.
Wow.
I've already forgotten.
That also shaved off a couple seconds.
The driving was so preposterous that I forgot.
That's how you speedrun.
Get those wipers rolling. Oh,
Okay.
God.
Okay.
Oh.
I thought I was supposed to turn into the game.
I love that
I like
the
how it's
tie
tied.
just
Yeah.
it just goes.
Okay, our car flipped, but it always corrected back into
It always
place.
landed on its tires.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I thought you were about to do it again. On the left this time.
Well, and I don't like now that I'm like looking at the clip. I don't know exactly what I was thinking. Like, I guess I realized that had driven past the turn, and so I was like, "Well, I'll just turn through the fence." I think, maybe that's what I was trying to do. Maybe I was trying to drive through the fence because, like, in any other game, you can usually drive through fences.
Yeah, fences are indestructible except for very certain few.
There's not a clip of this, but there's a scene where I'm going like the max amount of speed, which
Like
on a
50 or
130 mile per
Yeah.
hour speedometer, you can only go 50.
Yeah.
I think you can go
55,
55 if you
55.
hold the
Yeah.
triggers.
And so I'm going 55, and then I am taking a right turn, but I try to do a little shortcut where there's a small little sign, and I hit the sign, and there's no sound. It just immediately stops my vehicle. And I'm like,
Oh.
what the heck?
It's like a Welcome to Greenville
Yeah.
sign. Yeah.
It's like the
Oh.
strongest thing in the
Super sturdy.
universe.
Yeah, I think so. There's also a bridge that if you drive over, you just hit an invisible wall in it.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
I was that in the last time I played? Yeah, there was something where I was like, I'm gonna drive to the phone area, and I drove into the invisible wall, and like the car like jumped up in the air or
Yeah.
something like that. It did something weird, and I was like, what the heck? And
Yeah.
so then I reversed and I just drove, and then I went right through it.
Hmm.
I do think
I
the
don't
driving
know.
gets easier the more you do it. Like it's weird and it's touchy, but like you could
Yeah, you get
not
it over
crash.
for a
Yeah.
while, yeah.
Scott,
But
how
even
long?
when it gets easier, it's like the destinations get longer.
Yeah.
So it may become more streamlined, but it becomes more boring.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't disagree with that for sure. There's a lot of long distances. I do wish there was like a radio or there was something
Yeah,
that
something.
was kind of there to help pass that time, but I do think that is a completely fair and valid criticism that I don't remember the drives being as long the first time I played it. But maybe the first time I played it, I was just so flabbergasted by the controls that I was like, the control is what made it hard. But now that I kind of know how to drive, it's like boring.
Yeah.
Right.
It reminds me of a game called Big Rigs. I don't know if anyone's heard of that.
Big rigs.
Big rigs.
Yeah, Big Rigs. You'd
Mm.
basically be like doing these long haul drives for literally like 40 minutes just driving, and all you could do is like slowly just move side to side in your lane. And it's like the most ridiculous simulator. It was like one of the early simulators in like, I don't know, like 2001 or something, and
Yeah.
it was just horrible. But anyway, that's how I felt playing this.
If I'm to be honest, this is a slight tangent. When it comes to racing games, I actually don't really like the realistic sims. Like, I'm definitely more of a Mario Kart. I'm more of a Burnout. I'm more of an arcade. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want
I think I am as well.
to drive well. I want to drive off
I don't
tracks. You
Wanna
know,
go
I don't
500
want to
miles
drive. Yeah, like, and I don't want to drive like I would in real life or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that's not, I mean, not to say that I'm going to be, driving in Gran Turismo on the track, but it's like
Yeah,
not as fun. Not as fun as hitting somebody with a blue shell.
definitely. Scott, how long did it take you to master driving?
Took me a while.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to figure out that you can actually go in a third person, which that helped a lot.
Yeah. I find it weirdly comforting to be in first person. I don't know why. I also hack when you're driving around the game. If you go into third person and you look at the ground, the game will run faster because it's not rendering as much stuff. So, just
Speedrun
FYI.
tactics.
Yeah, for our speedrun tactics.
Yeah.
GoldenEye tactics.
Yeah. But yeah, driving isn't great. So on the way to the hospital, you end up essentially going and doing the autopsy, which kind of like moves the story on a bit in terms of like this is the point where you meet the doctor, which let's see, I have an image of the doctor, but like nobody else because I'm good at my job. Let me find him.
We love you, Asha.
Asha.
Usha.
Ashasa.
Usha.
Usha?
So
Yeah.
You end up meeting Usha, who is
Asha.
the autopsy expert. And this is the kind of pivotal point where you end up taking over the case. Does anyone remember what or like why you take over the case? I know Jeff doesn't. Jeff's not paying attention to these cutscenes.
No, you take over the case because I do remember. Whenever he's doing the autopsy, like says something, like Usher says something weird about the tongue, and he's like, it looks like they were something with a blunt edge of a knife or something like that. And then the York opens up the mouth, he looks in, and he pulls out his little tweezers, and he pulls out like a red seed, and then he's like, oh, what? It looks like this tongue was bitten off. And he's like, that's it. I'm taking over.
Yeah. Freeze. I'm the FBI.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, I paid attention.
All right, you're right.
Just because I didn't pay attention during the other 80% of the game doesn't mean that I didn't pay attention to this major plot point.
Yeah. So this kind of like points on, and like because York pulls out like a bunch of other red seeds, which is basically showing that he's been on this case for a while. And so obviously George is not happy. Emily is just more disturbed. One of the things I do think is super weird is like, as the man who was doing the autopsy, he did a pretty shit job of doing the autopsy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just like it was a blunt object cut off this tongue, and he's like, "No, dude, this is teeth."
Yeah. And it's like, and he didn't find the seeds. Like, shouldn't he have been the one?
Well,
to
yeah,
be
and he
like,
just opened up the mouth.
And I
Yeah.
found these. Just like,
I
dude,
found these seeds.
maybe because he's in a small town, he just like is not trying. He's just like, it's fine, you know, just basic
I
stuff,
can see
right?
that.
Just being cut off. There's no weird shit going on around here. Just a regular murder. I don't want to try. But after doing that, you pretty much kind of go through another sort of gameplay part of the game where, in order to get out of the hospital, there's a bunch of the zombies around. Because that's essentially what you fight, is you fight those basic zombies. All in all, I think they're the gameplay isn't super difficult. It is a bit annoying, though. But you pull up these zombies, and they take a couple of shots, unless you get a headshot. Sorry, I'm trying to find a picture of the zombies. This picture does them way too much justice. But overall, they're just kind of like fodder. I don't know if anyone else has had any like difficult time with them or anything.
I'm just annoyed that that guns take so much to kill them.
Yeah,
I just think it's so absurd.
I've had them fist me in the mouth if it's the same zombies.
It's just absurd.
And I mean, like, the controls are so kind of gooby in the game that, you know, like you're as they're like flipped over and they're like kind of crawling towards you, you got to push your left trigger, and then you can aim at them if you want, which I guess was aim like right trigger and then the bumper. I don't remember exactly how you like actually aimed at them directly, but like in the middle of trying to do all that, they can come up on you and then just bam, just punch you right in the mouth, and you got to shake him off.
Yeah,
and then he falls to the ground. He's like,
yeah, and it does suck whenever he does fall to the ground because he just crawls for a second. It's just like, dude, get up, man. my biggest problem with these zombies is if you get a headshot on them, they just stand there for
they stand there for a second and then they like say, "I don't want to die,"
and then their hitbox doesn't go away.
Yep.
Is that what they say? I thought the whole time they were saying, "I want to die." I guess I had the whole story wrong.
No, they
I think
definitely
they say, "I don't want to die."
Yeah, I
Really?
don't want to die.
Oh wow! I was like, "Well, I'm killing you, so you're welcome." Now I feel bad.
Like, I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
I wonder if there's a way that I can. Never mind. I was about to get real
You're trying to
technical.
get fancy on us?
Yeah, I was trying to have like a thing where I could show like maybe like the Twitch stream, so I could just go to certain points instead of having to clip everything. Because then I can find examples of that relatively easily. But I'm not prepared for that. Maybe next time. But yeah, the zombies definitely do get in the way. It's just frustrating when their hitboxes don't go away. That thing that annoys me. But overall, they're pretty easy. Well, so it takes more than a second. It'll take probably 15.
Like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It takes a long time. But I don't think it's particularly difficult. I don't even remember. I think every instance has the raincoat killer come in at you, but I don't even really remember it for the hospital. It was just kind of go through. You do run into your first zombies that have shotguns, though, so that was interesting.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
They don't really do much damage, honestly.
Well, I mean, but they like it was kind of the same thing that I mentioned earlier, where you got to do your sequence of events. You got to pull out your gun, you got to aim, then you got to shoot, and then while you're in the middle of doing all that, the zombie will have their gun and they'll be bringing it over, and you can kind of see, and it's like purple, and it's like purple, and then it's like, I feel like it was like expanding, like as it was getting closer to firing, and then it goes bam, you know.
I don't think
I think I got shot once.
The combat definitely does get a little spicier, I would say. I don't, like I said, I never think it's challenging, but there are a couple of times where I'm just like, you do have to navigate it certain way. As you mentioned, that sort of being that like order of events. Like you have to know how to do it well, which I think it becomes less boring the more zombies are on screen. Especially when they're kind of before and behind you, or before and behind, in front and behind you.
In front and behind, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's not awful. I do think it gets better, but it's also going to get worse. So just a forewarning for you all.
Okay, so Trevor and Jeff did never held their breath. They fought everything. So what about you, Scott? Did you ever hold your breath just to bypass them?
Always fight.
No, I fought him.
Okay.
I tried to use a melee weapon as often as I could since it's a one-hit kill.
Yeah.
But
Those
besides
pipes
that,
and crowbars, they're really doing their job.
They're made out of like
they're great, right?
adamantium or whatever.
Yeah.
They're amazing.
I don't know. Sorry, I had to take the dog out real quick. But when I was fighting, I did not realize that you had unlimited ammo in your handgun.
I told him that from Jeff's stream.
Did
We
they?
didn't know.
Really?
From the
You didn't
word,
see the unlimited symbol next to
You didn't see
ammo
the
count?
infinity?
Nope. I was too
You're
busy.
just like, what's that sideways 8 doing there? That's weird.
No, my brain did not even take that into account. I just saw the ammo, the 16, and I was like, oh, that's all I got. Cool. And then, so anytime I'd see them, I was like, well, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And so I'd keep using all my items. And then eventually we got to the part where the kid's like, oh, you can hold your breath. And I was like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to fight them. And just like, it's very like survivalistic game. And then when she told me about Jeff's thing, I was like, oh, okay, so it's that kind of game. And I just ran around. I was just like capping people.
So that's why we held our breath
wasn't
so
a big
much in the
deal.
beginning,
Yeah.
because we didn't.
You're trying to like play.
rationing.
You're
Yeah,
trying to play
we're rationing.
conservation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I bet you could start a speedrun challenge, breath only.
Yeah, probably.
I honestly like what's hilarious to me is that's a thing that I literally never thought of doing. So I know you can hold your breath because the cutscene literally fucking tells you that you can do that, but I never ever thought about doing it again. Not once.
Yeah. After I did it once, I was like, that little morsel of information went.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I accidentally did it, and I was like, oh, you can hold your breath. That's awesome. Let's do that.
I keep wanting to try it because I know you mentioned it, but I never remember when I'm playing because I'm like, oh, there's a zombie. I'm going to shoot it. I never think about let me go and kind of go for it.
Right. And he exhausts pretty quickly from that.
Yeah.
Does it have any RPG stuff at all? Like, can you make it to where you can hold your breath for longer, get more health? Like, I mean, I know you can do like the.
There are items.
You got like the cigarettes and stuff can like do stuff, but like you can't permanently increase it, right?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think it's just items will remove your exhaustiveness, like a stim pack or whatever it's called. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a faster route if you don't attack them because, I mean, you could just run and then hold your breath right next to them. They move out of the way, you run. And so because the enemies only drop items like 2% of the time, I'm like, I'm just going to do that every single time because, like, why am I killing you guys? I mean, it gives me a little bit of money, but that's another piece that we didn't find out until, like...
The money is a weird thing in this game.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell is this for? And then we met that... Or sorry, not to get too far ahead, but, like, we meet a guy later on. He's like, oh, you can buy some stuff. And I didn't realize you could buy things like at any time basically, later on in the game. So we just have like $8,000 just sitting around.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Well, and I think I did it at the first playthrough, the second playthrough. Like what was I trying to buy? I feel like I was trying to buy coffee or something like that. and or maybe crackers, but regardless, like I walk up to the guy or to the vending machine, I like look at it. I think I had like $3,000, and then the coffee was $35 or something like that. I was like, that's really weird, $35 for coffee. And then like later on, I think I bought ammunition, and the ammunition was $18 or something. It was something weird. It was like the food cost more than an actual helpful item like ammunition.
That's how it was with gas too. I think gas was like less than $20, and then the crackers are like $35. Yeah.
Can you buy gas? I always just get in the car and then it says like I have 18%.
Oh, you can definitely buy gas, and let me tell you, it's worth a trip.
Yeah.
Is it? It's worth a trip.
We're gonna spoil that for you, Jeff. We got the whole gas cutscene So you
You're
gotta
missing
prepare
out.
yourself.
All gas? There's
All
a gas
gas.
cutscene?
All gas.
Yep.
But
No,
since,
there's
since
not.
we're kind of diving into the philosophy of, we talked about the music getting louder and York and his internal monologue. I wonder if because wasn't it during 2010 where like we had this really big real estate crisis and
It's 2008.
or 2008. So it was like close enough to where they were making the game and then they released it. Maybe they were just saying like, well, now our inflation is just going to skyrocket and crackers are $39
Political
and
message.
lollipops are $20 and
I don't know if it quite tracks like that. Like,
Well,
the
I
only
think
thing
we have two
I
options.
tried to look up like yen. I tried to look up like the conversion of yen
Yeah.
to dollars to see if like that was it, and it like wasn't quite there.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
I think we have two options when it comes to discussing this game. Either everything is some crazy reference or nothing is. And I say let's go with everything.
Yeah.
Everything is a reference.
Because Obama was president.
Yeah.
The blah blah blah.
A couple things I wanted to point out. So one of the reasons that I like this game, and it's because I like games that do this. I really like games that play with time. I like games that have NPCs with schedules. I like games that have NPCs that are just like, I am doing this at this time, and I will be there.
Be square.
I love it. I really enjoy that stuff from a game. And I wish I got a clip of Jeff kind of learning his lesson with one of those, and I'll bring that up in a minute. Yeah, well, yeah. You want to kind of talk through, because you did this actually at the sheriff's department while you were still looking for keys. You decided to go down and take.
I
a nap.
decided to take a nap.
Yeah.
I was looking for So I was in the key department. I was Mr. Key Man. I was looking for keys. I found one or two squirrel keys, and then returned it to the guy. He berated me on my squirrel knowledge, and then I went down to I think I went downstairs like into the jail cells or something like that, and I opened one up, and then it had a bed, and I was like, what does that do? And so I just like slept for like 6 hours or something, and I woke up, and then the jail was closed, and it either forced me to leave or I woke up outside, and then I couldn't get back in until like 8 hours later, and I was like, what just happened? And so I had to go drive to the hotel and like go back to sleep for another like 6 more hours so I could come back and find more squirrel keys.
Yeah, the sheriff's department closed, so they kicked you out because they were
kicked me out.
closing for the day. Which, and once again, that's a thing that like I honestly I like that. I like that sort of like mentality and thought in a game. I don't know how everyone else feels about it with time in video games, but I very much enjoyed watching Jeff do that. I thought that was hilarious. Scott,
Yeah, I think
go ahead, Dallas.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, I think my experience with time didn't happen until there was a main quest that said something like, "Oh, you got to come back here in 10 hours or something," and I was like, 10 hours? Like, man, I know that if you sleep, time can go by faster, but I was like, the hotel or whatever, I feel like I was in the town, and so I was like, there's nowhere to sleep around here. We drove around, both of us took turns like driving around the town, trying to find somewhere to sleep. Everywhere we went, it was like a residential home, we're closed.
Yeah.
A bar, we're closed. And I was like, this guy literally sleeps at cemeteries. Why can't I just pull off from my car and just go to bed?
Yeah.
But I couldn't. And so I got so frustrated because we spent like literally 20 minutes driving around and doing stuff. And I didn't know what direction the hotel was in.
Yeah.
And so I finally said, you know what? I'm just going to smoke like 12 cigarettes.
Yeah.
12 cigarettes.
And so you start smoking the cigarettes. And as time goes by, your hunger goes up. And if you get sleepy or hungry, you actually can't progress time more than I think like either an hour or like 30 minutes or something.
Interesting.
And it got to that point where I was like, you know what? I don't even care. And so I'm just like chiefing all these cigarettes, trying to get that 10 hours done. And then finally he's like, man, I'm really hungry. But we got to the point where we were done. And I'm like, all right, we did the main quest. Let's go. It's that time. And then we did it. And then we went back to the hotel, slept, ate. Everything was great.
Oh
man,
I love that. Oh god, York's over there just fucking chain smoking, is just like all day, just like, what does this FBI agent do? He showed up and he smoked the entire night.
Yeah, from like 3 p.m. to like 3 a.m. just smoking.
It takes like one hit and it spits it out. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Does
got
it all
the full effect out of it. I was like, we got 20 of these bad boys. We're blowing through them.
I'm blowing through them.
Oh, that's great. I'd love to see a clip of that. Oh gosh. Scott, what are your thoughts on the time mechanic? Have you had any instances? Because I definitely remember the first time I played, I had a similar instance of like, you have to pass time, and I didn't know that cigarettes pass time. So I was like, well, I guess I'm gonna find something to do for 4 fucking hours. Which, by the way, an hour of in-game time is 20 minutes of real life. So you have
it's
time.
long.
It is.
I mentioned that on my stream. I was like playing. I was like, man, this like clock does not move because I've noticed that. I'm trying to think of was there another game we played with time? Did Fable have that?
Pikmin had
Oh
time.
well, Pikmin had it. Yeah, I guess Pikmin had time. I thought there was maybe Pikmin is the one I'm thinking of, but it's usually the problem is like you don't have enough time.
Yeah.
To get anything done.
Yeah.
And in this one, like I was driving around and I was just like, man, this time is not moving at all. And then Trevor told me that and I was like, oh geez. I was like, I got that, and that's whenever I was like, oh, okay, I got to find a bed or whatever and go night night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's really awkward, and I understand the reason for the cigarettes at the time that this happened, is that when you go to bed, I think you can only sleep in 3-hour intervals. And so if you have a 1 hour,
3, 5, or like 8, or
it's
like
well, it's
9.
3, 6, 9, 12.
Yeah,
that's what he's saying.
9,
It's only 3 hour. It's only 3
Oh,
hours.
I see what you're saying. Sorry.
So if you need to sleep for 5 hours,
if your window is like a 1 hour window, and you go 2 hours above that or 2 hours below that, you're like, man, now I gotta just smoke all these cigarettes, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's really what they're for.
Don't smoke, kids.
just smoking
don't
smoking
smoke,
cigarettes.
You
Or
should
if
be
you do,
vaping.
smoke to 3 a.m. to 8 a.m.
Yeah.
The time winners smoke. But
Smoke a whole carton of cigarettes.
but yeah, definitely time is long. Scott, was there any instances where you were like trying to navigate that, or did it all go pretty smoothly?
There was one instance where I slept for too long, trying to do this one mission, and the sky turned black, and all the zombies started coming out outside.
Yeah, they just hang out. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I got in the car and just started driving, and I got up on like the railroad tracks and just started driving on that, but you can't get off them. And so the zombies would spawn, and eventually my car just blew up, and so I had to restart.
Your car actually blows up.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh gosh. I've experienced that to where I know that there's like that weird sort of midnight hour where zombies just fucking come out in the town. But I just went back
been
to
around
sleep.
for that one.
Yeah, like it happens probably during some set hours of the night, but then I would usually just go back to sleep and sleep through it. But I didn't I love that you like drove. See, this is stuff like you don't need to stream it, but you need to record it cuz I want to see that shit. I love it. It sounds so funny. But yeah, so this game, obviously, as we discussed it has some quirks. But I kind of want to like let's keep walking through the story. Because there are some other things I want us to get to, such as the map in a moment. Because the map sucks. So either way, York has taken over this case, and then we get to the part that. So this is the part where I originally fell in love with the game. Actually. Let's show another clip real quick. So let's just say on the way to after you do the after York takes over the case, let's say you need to go get some gas. So let's just show what happens when you go and get gas, because you can refill your gas tank. Let me find the right video. What kind of gas
I would have
station?
done this if I'd have known.
You don't even need a subscription fee.
Final Fantasy
Oh.
15.
I've never seen you here before.
Man, look at those hip
You in
bones.
town to see some sights?
They're popping out of the skin.
Jack's wife. Here to get
What's
gas.
your name?
I'm Gina. Folks call me the Rose.
Dallas, are you going to be the
Francis
Rose for
Morgan,
Halloween?
FBI special agent.
Uh,
I'm investigating the death of Anna Graham.
My wife will be some
FBI.
kind of rose.
Wow,
I
how
don't want
cool.
to spoil that quite yet,
And,
but no.
ooh, I like
not
that
this particular
scar.
rose. Also, one
Do
thing
you have
that
any info
bugs me
on
in this
Anna
game
or
is
any
just
suspicious
how
individuals?
generic everybody's
I
name
hate that
is.
comment.
Like, it's so hard to determine who
Let's
is
have
who
more
when you have like an Anna,
Simple.
a Sarah, a Diane,
Do
a
you want gas or
Jessica,
not?
a Francis,
That
a
is a
Jack,
simple
a
conversation.
Bob, and whatever. It's just like, man, who is who?
Okay, well, you need to stop talking during her
Oh, yeah.
innuendos.
Okay.
Jeff needs to watch
Okay.
this.
Do you like the way I pump it? Oh
All
gosh.
Thrust it in there.
Just thrust it
Car
in there.
wash.
What?
Nah. I am
$5
sure.
a gallon.
See? I mean,
Hey, California's at like 6+ right now, so I guess they were doing all right back then.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. Does the car wash fix your car? Like, does it take it back up to 100%?
Probably.
Yeah.
yeah, it does.
Okay.
I drive
mean-
too well, so I don't need to know about it.
Yeah, there's been a couple times where I'm like, oh, I think I'm gonna explode this car, but I never got it. Like, I never actually did explode.
What's funny about the car wash is that in the cutscene, she just has like a a sponge with no water, soap, or anything, and just goes on your windshield and goes for like 10 seconds, and then it's like, all
Like,
right,
looks
you're all
good.
Yeah.
I didn't
Like,
realize you got a cutscene.
See you
for that.
later.
I need to do that
Yeah.
so I can see the cutscene.
Yeah.
But I do think it's an interesting point you bring about everyone's name sort of being generic. I do think that is a thing that is intentional because it is going for small town American vibes. You know what I mean? Like it's going for, I don't know. It's going for that common America thing. But,
Americana thing.
yeah.
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 So anyway, I after getting gas, you go back to the hotel, and York decides he needs to call a town meeting with everybody. I'm missing an entire part. You actually have to go to the murder scene. Forgot about that. So you go up on the hill, you go to the murder scene, and basically, so there's a whole system in here of profiling, which I neglected to discuss until now. It has been the entire thing, but essentially, you walk around a scene, you pick up a clue.
It reminds me of like CSI whenever he does it.
Basically. You pick up a clue, and then you kind of get like some cutscenes unlocked of kind of saying what happens as York sort of pieces together, which I think overall is a relatively good system, but it does kind of annoy me because it shows the same cutscene every time with just certain images coming in. So it's like it's really not worth watching it until you get the last one.
Until you get the last one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all just like blurry, and it's like, what's happening? And then just like as they just come in, just like piece by piece.
Yeah.
And we tried to give that the benefit of the doubt until the third profiling, in which we said, okay, we're gonna skip all these until we find all the clues.
Yeah.
Until you find the real one.
Yeah. Which I think I don't, it's really interesting because as a whole, if we want to really talk about games, detective games are like probably one of the hardest games you can design for, right? Because you need, unless you just specifically work on telling a player a story, but if you want the player to be the detective and to figure it out, it's really hard to write that and to make a game where like a player figures something out. So it's one of those things like whenever Deadly Premonition sort of handles it this way, I don't know if I could come up with a better system of how to come with clues and how to tell someone a story and how to kind of tie those knots together.
Yeah, I mean, like you got like the Arkham Asylum stuff, which kind of relies on clues, and he like but I think that definitely wouldn't work in like this kind of game because he does the thing where he like flips down his visor, he's scanning around, he finds a clue, and then he like kind of rebuilds the scene.
Yeah.
So I don't, that probably wouldn't be how you'd want to do it in this.
I'd
But I
say
mean,
for
I like this one because it at least tells you like how many clues you need to find because it always had the key or whatever.
Yeah.
So as you find something, you're like, okay, I'm at, that was the first out of 4, or that was the third out of 4, because they fill up in order of like, or they fill up in a specific spot. So like if you find one clue and that was actually the third clue, it goes in the third clue spot. So you kind of know, like what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I haven't played it in a while, but I remember like as a whatever middle schooler or something. I don't know if I was a freshman or whatever, but playing Phoenix Wright and thinking like, man, this is a really cool system of playing because I never played like any what are those like PC games like the Mysteries of whatever her
Talking
name
about
was.
Nancy Drew?
Nancy Drew, yes. I never played any of those games. I never played any like point click kind of discovery games, but I remember with Phoenix Wright just being like, man, this is pretty fun. And I didn't have any big qualms as a kid playing that. So, and I'd be interested to try that out again as an adult. But I felt like they did a pretty good job as a detective game. And this one, like you said, it's difficult to design for, but yeah, I mean, some stuff either feels, I think with this game, it either feels too linear at times, like whenever you're in the mansion or you're in the, whatever location you need to be at, finding the clues, it feels too linear. But then whenever you're outside, it just feels way too vague to where you're like, I don't know where the hell I'm supposed to even
Yeah.
like start looking. I think there needs to be like a little bit of a middle ground there, and that's what was kind of meh about it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, I did notice the Toy Story blanket like just now too.
Oh,
Jeff,
snap.
I love it. I love the Toy Story. Is it Toy Story, Scott?
It is.
Nice. Scott, what are
Join
your
Infinity, brother.
opinions on detective games? Are there any that you've played that you really liked? The mechanics of detectivery.
Not that I can remember. I think this is actually my first detective game.
It's the best one, first and the best.
Yeah, always. All right, so we've been going for an hour and a half. Let's take a quick 5-er, 7-er, stretch our legs, and we'll be right back. And whoop. live now. I should be visible. There I
Hey.
am. Hey, everybody, back. Ryzen 100, thank you for the follow.
Oh,
Really
Ryzen.
appreciate it.
We like Ryzen.
My notifications are fucked, and I'll fix that eventually. So let's get back to it. All right, we are going into where are we at? So yeah, so we go to the murder site, which is kind of like another set of just kind of the gameplay. You get a lot of zombies. You get a lot of raincoat killers. You get a really long quick time event, but this part of the game starts to introduce a couple of new mechanics with the raincoat killer. The rest of the gameplay is relatively normal, but then we end up getting to a position where we have, and we have some videos here of basically you get to the end and the raincoat killer kind of like stalks you a little bit. And where is... I think you sent me those... I think you
Already
sent...
feel the quick time events coming on strong here.
Hang on, I'm going to see what video this is.
Do you
Oh! Yeah, I meant to show that video earlier. My bad. Hang on, sorry, I'm trying to find this one specific video that I think Jeff sent me. Maybe I didn't download it. Let me be a total professional.
Of a quick time event?
Yeah, the one... yeah, okay, I didn't download. I think it's this last one.
I was saying I don't think I sent you any QuickTime event ones. I don't think.
It's the one of hiding.
Oh,
Yeah.
You're talking about when the raincoat killer man is trying to
Yes.
attack you. I see.
Yeah. Let me just download this live. Okay. So to set up the scene, basically, like you kind of have some quick time events, but you end up getting a new situation where the raincoat killer will come in and he'll kind of kill you, and you end up needing to hide away from the raincoat killer. And then the game doesn't exactly tell you need to hide. It's just like, oh, hey, Zach tells you, I guess. York tells you. But then it doesn't really tell you how to do it, so you kind of panic for a bit. And we'll take a look at how Jeff handled this.
I handled it well.
Oh, it's happening. What?
Oh, hang on. I got you.
No audio, pal.
Hide? Okay.
The audio's on
This
the
looks
stream.
like a hiding spot. How do we hide?
Oh.
There we go.
Oh, here we go. Now I can hear it. And I think I.
Oh gosh. What the balls? This reminds me of is that Amnesia? Or is it
Creepy.
what's that other game? Outlast? I think in Outlast you can hide in lockers like this.
So that's also
Hold
a
my
quick time
breath.
event, even though it's an easy one.
So I really hate how they blink
Hold your breath
ZR
longer.
because it makes me think you need to tap.
Alright,
Tap it.
So that was one of my
I'm running out.
hypotheses.
All right,
was
run.
I'll just do that.
Run, man! Oh gosh.
Oh, jeez.
Oh Jesus.
I didn't fail. Like he walked out of there for he took too long.
You didn't fail. You just didn't succeed that.
Gosh. This is not looking
Say it
good for
should.
me. Oh man.
I don't know how much is left.
And I
in
think
it.
I'll say I transition it pretty quick.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
All
sorry.
right. Can I go out now?
While he's staring right at.
No. Gosh.
No, to be fair,
Like, he wasn't
this
even looking.
scene is like so
Yeah.
long that I thought
Yeah.
maybe he just needs
All
to
right, I
be
have
far enough
one more
away.
idea.
Well, that's what I kind of thought too. I was like, I need to do it whenever he's not looking at me. You know, like Skyrim style.
Yeah,
If he
exactly.
could be a little bit quieter.
What style?
Isn't that Skyrim? When you can do that, where you can tell if like you're stealing or something like that.
Oh, I mean, yeah,
That's
to some
turning
extent.
around.
Yeah.
But you probably did that 2 more times. Like I think you did it. Was it?
No, I did it twice. I
just
only
twice?
died
Okay.
twice. Yeah, I died
As
twice.
a watcher, it felt like you did it 5 times.
No, and because on the third, the way that I did the third time, I ended up like hiding underneath the like a bench or something
yeah,
like that.
I remember that. Which I didn't.
I hid
hide
underneath the
under there.
bench. Yeah, and then I held my breath, and because I was like, if this guy's gonna open up all these lockers, like he's surely gonna be able to find me.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, I'll just hide here, and then it whatever.
I didn't even know there was another place to hide in that area.
It was just to the side.
either.
So you had the 2 lockers, then to the left you had, if you're facing that way, you had the 2 lockers, then to the left you had like a window door like phone thing. Maybe that's where the TV was, and then behind that, like if you just turned 180 degrees, there was like an L-shaped bench thing, and you could hide underneath the bench.
Yeah,
Got it.
which it's sort of interesting because like I don't disagree that it's not kind of vague on what you need to do, but I know the first time I played it, I didn't pop out of the room. I don't know. It's just interesting. Like I think your idea of wanting to pop out and run is totally valid, but that like never occurred to me.
That's the way you play. That's the way you play the game. You got to run.
I
figured that was gonna be like a chase sequence.
Yeah, which it is. It is. It is a chase
not
sequence.
the way that I was playing it. It wasn't a chase sequence.
But I will say to be fair to you, I don't think you were the only one who ran into that. I definitely got a very similar clip from someone else. Which is
It's the first time caller.
There's a lifeline here.
Oh, whoops. Okay. I'm not doing this right there.
Perfect.
That's what. Yeah, that's a good one. That was a good way to play that. That was a good. I like that. That was a good strat.
But yeah,
that was Dallas. Is that from Dallas? Did you do that?
Yeah. I tried many different angles here, and that basically just resulted in 30 minutes of wasted gameplay.
I do
30
like
minutes.
the way that you figured it out, Jeff, is you just use the observe button, and York was like, I can't leave. And I was like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because that was the other thing. Like, if you do repeated acts that like kind of make the same sound in the game, it eventually. I don't know if it breaks it because I'm streaming it through the H. Oh, did it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because in my headset. Okay, so was I mentioning? I was like, the sound sounds really bad for me.
Normal.
Like, but it sounded fine for you. Yeah. Okay, yeah, like I did it twice. I did that. Like I pushed the button twice, or hang on, let me just start over. I was pushing the observe button so many times that it ended up like sort of broke the it broke the sound, I guess, to OBS because I was observing it or something like that, or I was monitoring it, and it just like started like putting this weird rattly crisp sound on there, and I don't know, it sounded horrible. And then I did it again. I think the next stream, like I think I was just like skipping talking to people or something like that, and somehow that caused the same issue. And yeah, so I guess that's just something with OBS. I thought it was breaking the stream, me doing that.
Yeah, luckily it didn't. But
which that would have totally tracked though if it had broken the sound, me like pushing a button.
Yeah, I would have not been surprised. Scott, did you handle that situation flawlessly of the raincoat killer in the same room as you?
No, I never went out of the locker, but I did, like as Dallas said, I thought you had to click it.
Oh, so you just like tapped it. Yeah. Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how I died the first time. But,
so in that situation, does he go to where you're at and does he pull you out or something?
Yeah, he pulls you out.
Gotcha.
Very Outlast style.
If you press the observe button a bunch?
If you don't hold your breath.
Yeah.
If you don't hold your breath.
Yeah. Which
Take short spurts of breath.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what he's doing anyway. That's what I was alluding to earlier. He goes, I'm like, well, he would definitely hear that if he did that.
He also doesn't hold his breath for very long, which is interesting because in the
Mm-hmm.
first cutscene where they introduced that mechanic, you hold your breath for forever. Like, that's a
I know.
long
I was like, what is this, David Blaine?
Yeah. So after that, you're able to leave the room, which is kind of funny because I guess I never realized it, but he breaks down the door with the axe. But when you leave the room, you definitely open the door.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
The other thing too is he throws the axe at the locker, and then when it
he's
cuts
got
back
it.
to him, it's back in his hand. It's
Yeah.
like, what?
Well, I think he's got like the Force or something like that. He's like a mystical being.
Yeah.
Is he?
Oh yeah, 100%. He's a mystical
Well,
being.
I had a hard time understanding if he was mystical or if he's someone in the town, like a normal
he's
human.
definitely mystical.
Okay.
Demon.
We watch a lot of Forensic Files, so
Normal
we think
people's
everything's
eyes don't
real.
glow like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's mystic.
really
Maybe he's
good.
got one of those anime cosplay like masks.
Yeah, I don't know.
I did.
Skylar hasn't watched Scooby Doo. Is what it sounds like.
While I
Birds.
googled raincoat killer to try and find an image, I did find someone doing like a Halloween costume of the raincoat killer, and
Okay.
I'll share. It looks pretty good.
I was
credit to
hoping you were
some
gonna-
person on Reddit.
Okay, I was hoping you were gonna do the was it what game was that with the what was the last game that we played? But like you would just look up like random stuff about the game and it would
Luigi's
and it
Mansion.
would it was Luigi's Mansion, yeah, and you'd
yeah.
see like some weird sexual stuff with
Yeah.
the ghosts. I thought that's what you're like sexy raincoat killer.
Yeah, not yet.
All right, Jeff.
You're cut off.
Yeah.
It's like
This is where we draw the line on you,
not even
pal.
9:00 yet.
Real quick, I'll show this because I thought this was cool.
It's 15.
So yeah, this
till
was
you're
someone's
already out of
costume.
pocket.
So shout out to
Also,
this person on Reddit.
dude, if I ever saw that now that we've played the game, I'd be like, that is terrifying and really
Yeah.
cool.
Shout
I
out to
say
Jason0278. Good
nerd.
costume.
Off for Jason. Off
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things like I guess it's a cool costume, but it's like I don't like. Are you recognized wearing that costume? It's like if you know,
No.
you know type of thing.
He did that for the Reddits for sure.
He did it. That's
For
it.
the niche
Okay.
communities. They had
If
to.
you know, you know.
He's
To
in
be
that
fair,
Deadly
though, when it comes for me for Halloween, or I mean, like I don't cosplay, but like when it comes to Halloween, like I'd rather dress up as something super obscure that I actually give a shit about than
Yeah.
something that I don't give a shit about but is super popular.
Yeah, you're not dressing up as Ken this year.
No, I do have the hoodie, but I'm not gonna dress up as Ken this year.
Well, I mean, I guess you would technically be any Ken. Like you could be
That's true.
you could be
Ken
streamer
Master.
Ken.
Yeah, I could be
Street Fighter.
software developer Ken.
Yeah.
You can see the
Yeah, I'm the
tears on my face.
I'm the
Oh
same
no.
way. Like I did like a Shaggy cosplay from Scooby Doo one time, but I was like, this is too mainstream. So then I became like apocalyptic Shaggy, where I like cut up all my clothes, put blood all over me. It was like really ragged, had the beard and stuff, and
That's
it's
funny.
pretty rad.
That's funny.
Apocalyptic shit.
Anyway, I just thought that was super cool. So this sort of cutscene sequence changes a bit because it's basically a minute long quick time. You have to run, and you run by hitting or moving the left stick left
like-
to right.
Oh gosh.
Which I did find when I was because spoiler alert, you have to do it again. When you do it again, you can actually go pretty soft. You don't really have to hit it as hard as you
don't
think
have
you do.
Man, I figured I was gonna like just snap the controller doing that, or like snap the stick doing that.
It is pretty frantic. Yeah, it's
'Cause,
funny.
I mean, on the thing, it's like going really, really fast. You know?
Oh, it is, but you don't have to go. You can go probably like a quarter of that speed. Like you can go pretty slow. Which has anyone ever broken a controller from doing something like that? You know, like Mario Kart or like Mario Party Hand or anything like that.
I don't think I've broken one, but I think on like our Nintendo 64, like whenever we played Mario 64, you could do the thing where you were like spinning Bowser.
The Nintendo
And
Palm.
I don't think none of our sticks ever broke, but like they had like a wear ring on them from doing that.
Yeah.
So I think I've only ever just had like friction marks.
That's
Yeah,
interesting.
nothing from like a toggle distress or button distress. It's always just been either. I mean, this is when I was much younger, but like, you're playing like Mortal Kombat 3 or something on the Super Nintendo, and you're just like, I think I'll just throw this controller against the wall as hard as possible. Like those are my kind of broken controller memories.
Scott, have you ever broken a controller or anything?
Yeah, in a rage.
Oh no, I don't think I've ever broken a
Really?
controller in a rage.
I've never broken mine in a raid. I've gotten close. Like I've got like I remember playing like Bloodborne, so like a Souls game, and I remember just getting like super close to the end and then getting killed, and like I had my controller, but I was sitting on the bed, so I like grabbed it and I slammed it into the bed.
Yeah.
But it's like I think even if I hadn't have been on the bed, I don't think I would have done that movement. It was just like I knew that the movement was safe, so I did it. But I've
done similar
never
things.
broken one.
Like I've thrown my controller onto a couch, where I'm like, and it's not really, I've been like, So
Yeah.
I definitely.
I think I've gripped a controller really hard. You know, like if same thing, like you're playing it and then you just like grip the sides of it. You're like, oh.
I did break my DS from playing Metroid Prime Hunters because the shoot in that game was L trigger, and you could play it online, and I guess I just shot a lot. The button just broke. I think I've broken another couple of cheap controllers just because they were cheap, but I broke a whole handheld once from playing.
Scott,
it was
how
the
did you break
original
your
DS.
controller? What were you playing?
I think it was Halo, but I kind of just smashed it into the ground until it cracked.
Oh
Just
no!
You actually did like multiple strikes to do it.
There was intention.
Well, no, not multiple strikes. Like just smashing it into the ground until it cracked. And then I was like, well, that was a waste of $50.
Yeah.
And then
But don't you feel so much better after? I mean, you feel better for like 1 second, then you're like, regret.
Right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, was that a lesson learned? Yeah. All right. Let's carry on. So basically, after you survive the raincoat killer, you come to a point where you get some story focus, and in that story focus, you learn that the bad guy has an upside down peace sign, which just looks like a peace sign, just with an extra line in it, on his back. And there's a couple other cutscenes that begin to set up what's happening next. And with those cutscenes, let's see how Jeff handled learning that new information.
Better not be like some 10-minute cutscene. I don't got time for that.
I had to pee really bad.
No, not that I know of.
You hear me pushing the buttons.
But
Oops.
All right, so can you recap that for us, Jeff?
I think he just like goes.
Fine.
I don't think we're done.
Whatever. Oh, it looks like there's a phone.
Wait,
I think I just ended like right after
Oh,
that.
okay. There was another
was
cutscene immediately after that you also skipped.
Oh, I had to pee really bad. I mentioned it like right before it was ending. I was like, dude, I have to go to the bathroom like really bad. Like I really can't like play this part anymore. And then because I think I'd already died like twice to the guy on the QuickTime events, and so I finally killed him or not killed him, but like I whatever got him to go take the elevator up or down, and then I like walk out or something like that. And then it pops up and like he has a cutscene. I'm like, oh gosh. And then another cutscene starts. I'm like, dude, this better not be a 10-minute cutscene. Like I can't make it. Because I mean, it was the other thing. Like if I was gonna keep playing the game, I would have just been like, all right, I'm gonna. I think you press start to skip the cutscene.
You do, yeah.
So in my head, I think I was gonna pause the game and then go to the bathroom and come back or something like that. But I pressed it and it skipped. I guess I probably could have pressed the home button and it probably would have been fine. But yeah, I had to go to the bathroom super bad, and I was like, I'm not coming back to this. I'm not coming back to the stream. Like I've already streamed for like 2 hours or 2.5 hours. I'm done, and so I didn't feel too bad. But yeah, I'm sure there was some nice story beats that I missed out on.
Well, I will say, I didn't realize that it seemed like you killed a lot of people. I think we're at like almost 100 kills. Like I said,
holding our breath.
exactly.
Yeah.
But I think if the more people you kill, the higher your salary goes. Because I don't remember seeing any of our salaries increasing more than
I think
$1,000.
it does because if you get a good headshot, you get like extra
Yeah.
Yeah, you
street
get
cred from the
points.
FBI.
The
or
FBI's
whatever.
like, hey, bro, that's
Yeah.
another $50 in your pocket
Yeah.
every headshot.
Yeah.
It's kind of like real like in the real world.
Yeah. That's exactly how it works. No, but yeah, and I do think that's fair. But one of the things I kind of want to make sure is like the way for this game to be a more pleasant experience is to let it charm you with its oddness. And because like that's where a lot of that comes through. Is it comes through those cutscenes. I like the squirrel charm effect. Anyway, I just wanted to point that because I mean you could skip whatever you want. I like the way that we play it differently, but I do think you will have a better time if you let the game charm you a bit.
Let it
Was
play.
that not the cutscene where you learn a little bit more about the sheriff's like past? Like he shows his back and everything.
Yeah, and it's super scarred to shit. Yeah. Yeah.
But more importantly, you get to see Emily's back.
That's right.
Oh,
Yeah, you missed it. You missed it.
Dang it.
It was so hot.
Well, because that happens in the like the following part where you call the town meeting and you're like, hey, show me your back, and like and that random guy's like,
Yeah,
he's like,
Thomas.
what? You mean right here in front of all these people? And he's
Yes.
like, yeah, it's official FBI business.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that was just like sexual harassment is actually what just happened. I think I just watched like, an assault, brother.
This is why we have the right to bear arms.
Yeah, dude.
I show my back to no one.
But so that sets up the reasoning is that he basically wants to have a town meeting, which this town meeting part. So when I originally played this game, the town meeting is essentially where I fell in love with the game, and I didn't have this experience this time. But the first time I played the game was basically now playing with time. I didn't realize you could skip time throughout the game, so I went to sleep, and then I literally just passed 2 hours. Like, I was just trying to figure out what to do. So I ran around, I went to people's houses. You can do a bunch of stuff. And then when it came closer to time, I went there early because I wanted to play the cutscene. And I watched every single person in the town pull into the parking lot, stop, and get out of their car. And I was like, oh my God, I love this. Which, like I said, as a person who loves video games that play with time and has NPCs on schedules and, like, more or less treats these people as real, as treats them relatively seriously.
It's like actual citizens. Yeah,
I really enjoyed that part, and I enjoyed that, and like the whole cast of characters you come to is next. They're all wacky. The town scene, the scene at the town hall is also a very, very direct homage to Twin Peaks, because in Twin Peaks almost a very similar sort of thing happens. Where the FBI agent ends up calling like a town meeting, and it's not quite as over the top, but it's not super far off either. But I really like the town hall meeting. There's a bunch of characters of the town hall meeting. What were y'all's favorite characters of that?
It's got to be the rock and roll guy.
The rock and roll dude. Yeah, he was rock and roll.
The guy was crazy, dude.
And
I at first I feel like he had an accent, but then later when he comes back again, I feel like his accent starts to diminish a little bit, and I was like, wait, what the hell is happening?
Faking it.
Yeah. I was like, he's just trying to be one of the Rolling Stones at the beginning, and then he's like, actually, man, I'm just a little guy from Georgia, and I'm just here to hang out and snap my fingers. And you're like, oh man,
yeah,
what a rip.
I liked the pot lady.
The pot lady.
420, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she was holding she's holding the pot, and she's like, I think my soup's getting cold or something like that. And then I think as like she leaves or something, somebody says something along the lines of like, I don't even remember what her name was. I know it wasn't Polly, but they're like, oh yeah, that's Polly Pot Sally or whatever. She's always carrying around cold soup or something like that.
Pot Sally.
So the pot lady is another kind of like direct homage to Twin Peaks. In Twin Peaks, there is, if I can find it, of one of the million. Hang on, I gotta find the photo. Okay.
Fun fact: I've never seen Twin Peaks.
Most people have it. It's very different of a show. It's very slow. But in Twin Peaks, you have the log lady who carries around her log, and her log speaks to you.
Oh.
So she is very much a direct homage. So like I said, there's a lot of similarities there. But yeah, so the pot lady and the log lady have some direct similarities. Scott, who was your favorite?
Well, to be honest, I skipped all of them.
You didn't talk to anybody.
Now wait, hold the phone.
Like
I'm
town
over
hall.
here.
What the hell is
No,
that?
I'm over here. I'm over getting like, I'm taking L's left and right for skipping cutscenes.
It's time for
I didn't
Scott
skip
to
any
get
of these.
some of his due.
Yeah. Give him some lumps.
So the person I found the most interesting is probably the grave keeper.
Oh yeah, the guy who looks like he should be in Green Day.
Yeah, because I think he just leaves after you get done talking to him. And I think this is the first time you get introduced to the guy in the wheelchair with the mask.
You were introduced to him once more before. He was introduced. Yeah, because that's not the first time you've seen him.
He's introduced at I was gonna say the funeral or the. Because he shows up and he says something like, or he doesn't say something, but he gives some kind of vague like rhyme or something like that about, it's like, the time of the crime is sublime, and then the guy's like, what?
Yeah.
And then he like says something to him, and then the guy the guy like leans over and starts talking to his assistant, and he's like, uh look for the toe, don't smack any hoes. And he's like, what? He just says like this random off the wall stuff. And you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then he wheels himself out, and they're like, and then was it George like will walk up, and he says something like, oh, that's whatever that guy's name is. That's so and so. He's kind of a loose cannon, a weird guy.
Yeah.
But we just, he owns the town or something like that.
Harry is his name. Harry Stewart.
Harry.
And Michael talks for him. So Scott, hang on. Let's get back to why are you skipping all the characters, Scott?
Yes, Scott, what's going on?
I kind of just wanted to get through it.
Oh, Scott.
Don't we all?
Speed run.
That's the truth about this game.
But like I said, as I said for Jeff, I'm now going to say to you, Scott, you got to let this game charm you.
Yeah.
You don't have
Scott.
to. You don't have to, but if you let
Yeah.
it, I think you'll end up having a better time with it.
Let the game touch you.
Yeah. I've been touched by York multiple
Show
times.
your back to the game, Scott.
Yeah.
Your underbelly.
Your
Soft underbelly.
your back belly.
Yeah.
Your
I
revert.
love watching dialogue because I love how long their mouth moves past the dialogue.
Yeah.
To me, that's hilarious.
It's like more extreme than like English transcription of like a Godzilla movie.
like a dove or something.
Yeah. Like their mouth, and it sometimes it moves so rapidly,
So fast.
and they're saying nothing. They're just like,
Yeah.
well, that's what I thought, and it's just like, you're like, holy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I definitely do enjoy that. Okay, so I think we're kind of at the end of what we're going to discuss for today. I know some of us got a little bit into episode 2, but we'll save that for next time.
Yeah. There should be one more clip.
Yeah, I was going to say I actually have a couple more clips that I'm going to show us. I figure we'll just kind of show what we got, and we'll make some comments on that. So let's start with the one that Jeff is referring to. So remember when I mentioned to save often? There are reasons for that.
Not justice.
Small town
Nothing
gossip.
good will come from desiring simple revenge.
True.
Oh, dude, that happened to us,
It's
dude.
just- yeah. Yep. Yep.
No.
No. Trevor goes, there it is.
Yeah. You can hear my
You can see
my
the
laundry
So
tears.
distraught.
dinging
Oh,
through,
gosh.
and then I do
I better
do
not have
skip
to
through
talk
part
to
of
those
this.
people.
Well, it's fair because you already experienced
Or like
it,
I
unlike
so yeah, here we
Scott.
go.
Oh my gosh. You gotta be straight.
Oh, you know what happened to us
Lesson
when we were
ID.
going to the diner
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Emily and yeah.
That is a decent amount to go back to, I will say.
Yeah, so I basically like if
Oh,
to
no.
put it into perspective, I think where is that at? I don't even remember, but like
That was at
there was
the-
there was
Sheriff's
No,
office?
that's that
No.
was where.
I was like at a park or something like that.
No, it's
or-
the wood mill. It's the wood mill. It's where you just got out of all those QuickTime events.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I just got out of there. I save.
Yeah.
And then I think okay, so that's what it was. Is I had just ended and I ended that stream.
Yep.
And then I came back the next day and I started playing. I played for, so because you get there and you have to drive all the way back into town.
It is some long drive.
So I drove all the way back into town to go to the meeting or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I like watched the QuickTime events. I talked to everybody. I think whenever I looked at it, I'd been playing for like an hour and 15 minutes or something like that.
The
Or
good
like
thing
40
about it is you were able to get back there relatively quickly, though. It didn't
Oh
take
yeah,
you
I
too
got.
long.
I think I got back to the spot I was at within 10 minutes because like I think I drove back. Because I think the first time I showed up, I think I was like too early or something, and so I went and slept, and then I came back, and then I just like skipped through everything. I saved as often as I could.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
I know Trevor had warned us, but I was like, man, after that happened, I was like, I'm definitely saving any
Yeah.
chance I get. Because I mean, there's no like when you're playing it on the Switch, you can't just what do they call that? Like I don't know, like almost like a scum save or whatever. You can't just do it out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, you have
Oh.
to actually find the
The
freaking
phone.
like
Pay a
a
dollar.
save state or
save
something like
state.
that.
Yeah, you can't just do it randomly. So I'm like,
Mm-mm.
I'm saving every time I see a phone.
Pro tip on that. I was reading that the longer you have the game open, the more likely it is to crash. So basically, if you play
Great.
through
I mean, it
the
makes sense. I get it.
yeah, if you play through like 6 hours, basically every time you're done playing, close the game and then start it fresh the next time, and that will limit your chances of the game crashing. I haven't had the game crash so far, but I had it crash a shitload the first time.
It's just like real
closing it
life.
more. Yeah.
Like the longer we stay awake as York,
We
the
crash.
longer we're gonna just want to go to bed. And
So
just
that was
crash.
actually intentional. You're yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
Well, unlike York, I don't live off of lollipops and smoked
cigarettes.
Cigarettes. Yeah.
And Marlboro Reds.
And crackers.
Yeah.
Get in line,
Yeah.
baby.
All right, we're going to go back to
Crackers.
these last couple of clips, and then I'm going to get an overall read of the room, and then we'll call it for the night. All right, so let's see. This one was submitted by D-Town and Sky.
You won't slow us down.
So this clip, it's more about just the hand movement. Like it's so gentle, and he's just like listening to this person. Which in that clip we didn't hear any music coming up, so he was fully
won't slow
listening
us
to
down.
George.
Okay, but you do hear that buzzing. That buzzing draws me
Okay,
nuts.
that is another
The
piece.
fluorescent
But-
light buzzing.
Yeah, it's a fluorescent light. Yeah.
You won't slow us
Yeah,
down.
and there's some parts where like you're outside of the bar, which I can understand, like the neon lights. But I'm like, man, they just use the same like clip from the same like
Same
sound clip for everything that has
Yeah.
lights and buzzing involved.
Oh,
But yeah, it was mostly just his little awkward moment with like the donut being like, "Look at the donut," and the guy's
Slowly.
just talking to him, and he's like, "Donut."
because he does the same thing. They're trying to talk about the case, and he goes on
Yeah.
that tangent about the donut.
right,
That
right.
case.
He does.
Yeah, they're
love
like, "Well,
those
what do you think
donuts.
about this?" And he's like, "This is the best fucking donut I've ever had."
Yeah.
Or he calls it a biscuit. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a biscuit. I think it's, but they do kind of look like that. Those are Thomas's biscuits.
Yeah.
Whoa, Thomas's biscuits.
Don't
Whoa.
don't Google that.
Yeah.
Chat.
Yeah, Thomas's biscuit.
I actually don't know if I actually don't understand that, and I'm apparently going to learn something, which is sad. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Yes. This might incite a lot of viewers as to why we have all these pickles of our heads here. That's
Oh,
because
just go and just pick. Oh, I did the
every
same
time
thing.
every time you turn around, I was like, wait, why do the pickles keep regenerating?
That's where
I
pickles grow.
mentioned that. Yeah, I mentioned that in my stream too, because in that same spot, like I would, I'd run and then I grabbed the pickles, then I ran and I came back. I was like, oh, more pickles, and then I like ran and came back. Oh, more pickles.
Yeah, literally. all
I
you
didn't.
do
I
is
didn't
just
quite
turn
do it
around.
the same way you did it.
Yeah. As soon as I saw him respawn, I was like, wait, is this real? And then you go and check your inventory, and you're like, I've got 8
50
pickles.
Yeah.
Hand pickles for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, as the popular way to sell and purchase
Yeah.
pickles in a
And-
can, in a tin can.
I wish it would do that with like ammo and other things that like
Right.
we use a lot more often. But hey, beggars can't be choosers.
It did that once with the crowbar, but you can only carry 2,
Ah,
which sucks.
Dang.
But
yeah.
okay, all right. So that is kind of catching us all the way up to episode 1. Episode 1 is a long one. A lot of stuff happens, really sets up the plot. I'm excited for what comes next. I also know what comes next. I know how off the rails and kind of what to expect. So I'm excited for y'all to experience that. Real quick, I want to give y'all each a chance to. I want to get the vibe. What are your thoughts so far overall? I know it's a little shaky, and I know I'm going to get some differentiating opinions. And I want to start with Scott because I'm curious Scott's opinion on overall the game and how you're feeling, what you're thinking.
So before you went over how this game charms you, and I am charmed by this game. I'm not playing it for the gameplay per se, but for the story and the charm. I think I don't know if we went over this, but the first time like I had that charmed moment was when he was at the long table for breakfast with coffee.
Yeah, they were just yelling at each other.
Yeah.
And I think doesn't he
I
say
cracked
something?
up at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I laughed at that part too, because doesn't he say something like, "Can't we sit closer?" and she
Yeah.
sasomething something like
She
I
thinks
can't
York
remember
is
what her
hitting on him.
Oh
yeah,
yeah, he's
Yeah.
like
I'm a married woman.
yeah, something.
I am disappointed that I didn't get clips of that, but we would have just talked for forever longer if I got clips of all of the endearing stuff. So if anyone ever listens or watches this podcast, there is plenty of charm that we have not gone over that I would definitely recommend experiencing for yourself. But I am glad you are getting some of that charm, Scott, because that's kind of why I suggested this game, because it's weird, it's wacky, and it's just like, now we can get it over with, so now we can only play good games after this.
Oh,
Wink, wink.
Yeah, D-Town
Good
Sky, what are your initial parts? Have you been charmed yet?
I'm super charmed. Well, first off, I already love anything crime related, so that's exciting for me. But there's something about it that, even though it's weird, it's cozy. It's like comfortable. I don't know. This even sometimes like the slow pace is kind of comfortable.
Yeah.
Like so,
Yeah.
I enjoy playing it, but except when it comes to the action, that's kind of a Dallas thing. Driving, and I like exploring. I'm an explorer in every game, so I really like. I'll get out and just like walk around. I was peeking, finding all the medals,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. It feels cozy to me. I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah, there was one time where I was like, "Hey, I gotta go do something real quick." I just handed her the controller, and she was like, "Man, I've explored so much of the town. I ran out of gas, and like, looked at all. I was peeking and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Wait, but we're supposed to go like 4,000 yards away." I was like, "Where are we gonna find a car?" And there was like no car. So all of that, we had to reset and go back to the other safe
Yeah,
state. And I was like, "Oh
actually
no."
disappeared, like
Yeah.
because I just explored so much.
Can you not find another car?
Well,
Like, is
That's
that
what we
another-
tried to. Yeah.
So you can use a flare, and a flare will spawn
That's-
a car next to you.
Oh,
That's
okay.
a good call. Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, I think I've found the flare a couple times, but I'm like, I've
game
never
gives you a
actually
couple.
used it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, and does it say that that's what it's for, or does it give like
There's
kind of a nondescript?
emergencies and like the police force will be there. And
It says it'll
stuff
bring
like
you
that.
a car,
Oh.
basically, is what it says.
Yeah.
It says,
Gotcha.
they'll bring you a vehicle.
But yeah, super charming game. Yeah, like I said from the beginning, I knew as soon as we got into that spiritual realm and it had all those like wacky, funky sound effects with like kids and just like them saying crazy stuff and there being
Yeah.
like just blood and randomness. I was like, okay, this is like straight up like a good Japanese game. And yeah, I mean, we played it through and it's hasn't disappointed yet. Like, there's nothing that I like question. I'm like, yep, that makes sense for this kind of game. And it just
sure.
it's good. Like it's good for what it is.
Yeah.
Like, can it have better mechanics? Can it have better gameplay? Can it have a better way to get around? Sure, but like, you take it for what it is. It's a 20-hour game, and you're gonna enjoy every second of it.
I will say, I'm glad you brought up the Red Room, because I kind of skipped over that, but that is also another homage to Twin Peaks. So if you guys play this at the end of it and you're like, I want more of whatever this weird mood is, watch Twin Peaks. All right, Jeff.
Some Twin Peaks. I don't like the game. I don't like the game at all.
Yeah.
I do not like the game.
Yeah.
Like I don't like the mechanics.
Non-believer.
I don't like the gameplay for the most part. I mean, I mentioned it on my stream at one point. I was like, this would be the type of game that I would play. Like, somebody would tell me to play it, and I would start playing it, and then I would be upset at them the next day. I was like, why did you tell me to play that? And like I said, I think I mentioned it in my stream. I'd be like, this is the type of game where I would start it, play the first like 20 to 30 minutes, and I would turn it off, and I would like never think of it again. And it would be a thing where somebody would come and talk to me and be like, hey man, have you played Deadly Premonition? And I'd be like, no, I haven't played Deadly Premonition. And then they'd be like, oh, and they would be like, oh, well, they'd give it to me again, and then I'd start up, like, wait a second. And I'm like, I have played this game.
Or you
Like, it
just
would-
judge them, and you're like, you're the kind of person that plays this, aren't you?
Yeah, I was like, of course. It's like red flags galore
Yeah.
with these Deadly Premonition people. I mean, yeah, there's been a couple parts where I've like laughed at it, but I'm like, I'm not super impressed with most of the things that are happening. And yeah, non-believer. It's just not my style of game. Like, I'm like, I haven't played a game like this before. So I don't know. That's my opinion. COD, and it's funny because it's like, I mean, Like I enjoy like like I played, like I said, Village. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy a good like spooky-ish game. And I think that was the other thing. I wanted to play, like I was thinking this was going to be like a horror game, so I started playing. I was like, all right, I'm waiting for the horror.
Mm.
And I think there's been like one time where there's been a jump scare ish, and it almost got me. And then otherwise I'm like, yeah, this is just like a goofy game with weird music, and like nothing makes sense to me. So nothing makes sense to me while I'm playing it. And maybe that's because I'm skipping cutscenes, but I'm just like,
Right?
what?
True.
But but it's not my fault that I'm skipping the cutscenes. It's the game for not grabbing me by the heart, and pulling me into this experience.
Mm.
I'm just like, dude, I got to get out of here. I got to go to the restroom.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's your bladder's fault.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, I'll be finishing it. I'll be finishing it. I just might be, if 3 out of 4 people are enjoying this game or are getting charmed by it, then that's a 75%. And I will take on the cross of being the negative person saying that this is a bad game. And you guys can tell the world, carry the flag for the Deadly Premonition. And I will.
I want to say it's 4 out of 5 saying
you.
it's a good game. By the way, Jeff.
4 out of 5. Sorry, I guess I was doing 3 out of 4 for the panels.
You can't
4 out of
do
5.
that.
I was doing like a 3/5 compromise type thing. But
anyway, first of all, I do.
4 out of 5.
Even if all of us like this game is not an 80% game. I know that to my core, but I'm enjoying it. So I'm excited to see what will happen as we go on. Maybe we do something fun where like the person who hates the game that we played the most gets to pick the next game. Maybe that could be a fun thing that we do.
Oh man, I'm gonna hate every game we play, and then I just keep picking
within reason. All right, well, Jeff's already blown his cover. The game that you pick, you're gonna be like, I hate this game.
I'm like,
this game's awful. Hey, don't worry, I got the next one.
Man, you guys wanted to play Fallen Order? Man, that game sucks.
All right, everybody. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Scott. Hit me.
Oh, I was gonna say I do like the music, but I hate that it's the same 4 or 5 tracks.
Yeah, like the music.
I love the "Life Is Good" song. That's the song I played on the intro. It's a banger.
I like the idea of the music, but I don't think it fits with the game. And I mentioned same thing. I mentioned this on the stream, on all the streams that I've done. I've been like something kind of important is happening, and then you got that like whistle song, and then there's the jazz song with like
the jazz one,
the screaming like thing in it.
Great.
Sounds like
I love it.
It's a saxophone, people. Get it cultured.
But yeah, like anytime that song comes up, I'm like, this is not the appropriate time to be playing the song. And I think, like I said, I've mentioned it probably dozens of times at this point, but
it's great.
It's like the people that were making the game, or that were doing all the game development, all the story stuff, were doing one thing, and then they had a completely separate company doing the score, and they just like sort of told them a vague idea, like, hey, this is kind of an old school thriller cop serial type thing, so we need some like jazz or whatever for the game. And they were like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, we'll play it. And then they probably sent them some samples like, hey, this is what we got so far. And they're like, yeah, this is great. And then they just took all those, just put the game and then put the music together. And then they did weird stuff in the mix and then just, just rolled with it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so great.
It's something else.
Yeah, I'm excited to see opinions change or get more intense or get less intense. I think it's going to be interesting for all of us. As we go through this. So that being said, if you guys want to watch more of this content, I'm streaming the game. If you want to see the game be played, you can watch my stream. If you want to have more fun and be entertained, watch Jeff's stream. Jeff is having some fun time, so that's at twitch.tv/Jefferooney, I'm pretty sure.
It's Jefferooney _. I'm not just Jefferooney _. Jefferooney on all other platforms. I don't know when the next time I'll play will be. It'll probably be the next time I'll probably play is next Wednesday. I have to.
You can subscribe to Jefferooney, and then you'll find out. And sort of the same thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, share, and subscribe, and I've been posting it on Instagram whenever I go live. So if you follow me on Instagram and look at my story, I usually post right before I go live, I'll post something on the story, and then It'll be there.
Jeff must be a hot kid. I thought only the hot people are on Instagram.
Yeah.
Just one of them hot boys on
Facts.
Instagram. All right,
Nice.
I am clearly just devolving. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks for another episode of Deadly Premonitions.
All right.
Bye-bye.